Welcome to San Diego, California for the 1975 National Championship game between the UCLA Bruins and the Kentucky Wildcats. Let's join announcers Curt Gatti and Billy Packer with the first half coverage already underway.
This is a very important foul also because it was on Marcus Johnson, and that's number 2 for Marcus. UCLA can ill afford to have him out of the ballgame. This fella right here is a double-figure scorer and only averaging about 18, 19 minutes a game. Very explosive.
He'll be a triple-figure scorer before he's through. He's got it. 20-14 Kentucky. That's our biggest lead of the game. Trgovich. Underneath it goes to Dave Meyers. Very neat assist by Pete Trgovich. 20-16. 6 points for Meyers. Grevey on a drive. Meyers wouldn't let him shake and go. Here's Gibbons up. Shot was partially blocked by Marcus Johnson. The scramble underneath. Jump ball.
Excellent hustle by Rick Robey. This young freshman is an aggressive ball player, and he went down on the floor for this ball. He goes down there often for them. Between Robey and Phillips, they have transformed what was a 13-13 ball club into one of the nation's top ones in Kentucky.
Kentucky ahead 20-16. 12 minutes remaining in the first half from the Sports Arena, San Diego, California. Jimmy Dan Connor. They have a high post. Robey's out there. There's a shot by Grevey. Richard Washington clears the board. Pass breaks it to McCarter, nearly broken up by Connor. McCarter off to Marcus Johnson. Johnson and Richard Washington working against Robey. Followed by Dave Meyers and a foul. Kentucky foul is on Jack Gibbons, number 21.
Jack Gibbons, his first personal.
Here we go, Richard Washington down there. Rick Robey on him. 2 great young college ball players. And there was the foul by Jack Gibbons.
Yes, sir. Right now, Kentucky has 2 freshmen in the game. That was nearly stolen away. And there's a foul called on Rick Robey for holding. Now we have the bonus situation. We may have a lot of new basketball fans tonight, so we'll say after 16 fouls, every foul after that, they have a 1-and-1. If they make the first one, they get a bonus free throw. Kentucky has put itself in early team foul trouble. They've now committed 7. Richard Washington from Benson Tech High in Portland makes the score 20-17 Kentucky.
Foul trouble, of course, is something that Kentucky almost likes to be in for the simple reason with that great bench that they have. They can put in other players, and they've already dictated the tempo of this game. It's going to be freewheeling and very fast.
Now here's a sophomore, a very quick sophomore, Larry Johnson coming in. He's replacing Mike Flynn. So right now, Kentucky has 2 freshmen and a sophomore on the floor.
We can look forward to Johnson on McCarter and vice versa, and those are 2 extremely quick, strong guards.
Grevey at the perimeter. Won't go down for him. Marcus Johnson's out of bounds. Marcus Johnson had the rebound, but his back hit the baseline. Mike Phillips, another freshman in for Kentucky, replacing center Rick Robey. Larry Johnson will play it in to Phillips. Tipped away to Larry Johnson. There's the big freshman, Phillips. Meyers, rebound. Here's a lead pass to Trgovich. Too far. Back in, Marcus Johnson has it. Trgovich saves it with his hustle. On the high post as Richard Watt has it. Carter brings it down. Kentucky ahead by 2. Washington underneath hits it.
Credit Dave Meyers with 2 great defensive plays down on the other end of the floor to set that up. He's a ferocious defensive ball player.
8 points for Richard Washington. UCLA is playing like they did against Louisville. They get behind 6 points, look like they're going to fold, and come right back. Grevey hits 22-20. 12 points for All-American Kevin Grevey.
Excellent help that time by Jimmy Dan Connor, setting a screen for Kevin.
Richard Washington right back. Richard Washington Johnny Wooden said all he needs to be even greater is to get a little meaner. He thinks he's too kind, too gentle. Roby's back in for Mike Phillips for Kentucky. The board is cleared by Roby. Larry Johnson. Carter on him. Quickness against quickness. Grevey again shooting over the pick. High bounce. The pass out to McCarter. McCarter lobbing it down court to Washington. Great by Andre McCarter.
Beautiful lead by Andre that time.
12 points for Washington, but McCarter set that one up. There's Grevey. The left-hander banks it in. Grevey has 14 points already.
He's extremely active without the ball tonight, and that's why he's getting such good position to get those shots off.
West Kentucky, or UCLA does something with him, he's going to give him fits all night. Washington missed the short bank shot. Roby vacuumed the board, and here's Grevey. Change of pace against Trgovich. They double team him. Roby at the foul line.
Comes in with Drollinger. They love to go with their inside power game. That puts Rick Roby on Drollinger. Look for him to go inside, try to get Roby in some additional foul trouble.
Jimmy Dan Connor puts Kentucky ahead, 25-24. That's his first point. Here's Richard Washington. Roby on him.
Mismatch inside. Kevin Grevey is going to be guarding.
Yeah, they had him on Drollinger.
They'll probably make a switch.
Joe
there.
Hall calls him right over and said, look.
I've never seen two freshmen complement each other as well as these two do. They can come right off the bench and come up with a good performance.
Mike Phillip has the rebound again. Connors driving, blocked by Drollinger. Drollinger batted it away.
Outstanding defensive play by Ralph Drollinger because he was working with Mike Phillips and still came over and made the block.
This game tied 25 all. Johnson to Jimmy Dan Connors. Phillips is fouled by Drollinger, who hooked him over the shoulder.
Very interesting to me to watch the Kentucky players adapt to their style of play depending on what center's in there. As soon as Phillips get into the game, they go into that low post offense and they get the ball to him very well.
Each team with over 6 fouls now. Mike Phillips at the line. Phillips of Manchester, Ohio, a freshman. Here's his bonus shot. Kentucky leading 26-25. That was his first point. 27-25. Kentucky hit 71% of their free throws this year and averaged 93 points a game.
Kentucky going to their 1-3-1 zone right now to offset that mismatch that they had the last time down the floor.
There's Washington out of the corner. This 1-3-1 zone has been very effective late in the season for Kentucky. McCarter nearly stole that pass. McCarter has that sixth sense of anticipation. Andre McCarter, number 45. Phillips with a fall-away shot. Goose Gibbons, jump shooting, short. Kentucky ball.
Goose Gibbons is the smallest frontline player out there right now, but he has unbelievable timing for a man who's just a freshman. He's a lot of savvy.
Way out is Connor. Drollinger slipped in and got the rebound. UCLA comes down court. They're 2 points behind. McCarter feeding Dave Meyers. Another clever assist, and Meyers crashed to the floor and hit his head.
This young man's quite a competitor, and he's had his share of problems physically in the last half of this season.
He's been banged up. Boy, I'll tell you, he's had multiple leg injuries.
I'm sure that he's all right. Here's Andre McCarter making a beautiful bounce pass right over there, and Dave Meyers is going to the hoop. You can count on it. He goes up right over the top of Kevin Grevey.
John Wooden is storming. John Wooden is out there. He is unhappy. Kevin Grevey puts Kentucky ahead 28-27. 15 points for Kevin Grevey, who has younger brothers coming up behind him.
It seems that the cream always rises to the top. In this particular case, the All-Americans having quite a first half.
29-27. Grevey is the high in this game, 16 points. He has scored well over half of Kentucky's points. Washington Meyers trying to retreat. Last Saturday was his low. A 1-3-1 zone they're trying to overload. Washington shot. And up for the follow went Washer, lost the ball. And this zone right now, stepping out of bounds is Larry Johnson in the backcourt of Kentucky. Kentucky leading by 4. There's Joe Hall. This 1-3-1 zone is bothering UCLA. In fact, Billy, I think any team that sags on it makes them shoot outside bothers them.
It certainly does. They're not the best outside shooting team, and they are not getting into the pattern they like to use against the zone, so they're having a lot of problems right now.
Montana played a sagging man-to-man and nearly beat him. Grevey up. Phillips has it. Foul is on Drollinger.
You will see the play going up right there. Jack Gibbons once again with that timing, getting his hands on the ball over to Mike Phillips. There's the foul right there called on Ralph Drollinger. Kurt, down on the other end of the floor, UCLA is also having a problem matching up with Kentucky. Kentucky has 2 small forwards in the game, and that means that UCLA has a mismatch with one of their big men up front. Richard Washington now having to guard Grevey.
1-3-1. The point man out here is Larry Johnson. He's very quick moving around. Meyers to Trgovich. 31-29, Kentucky. 6 points for Pete Trgovich. Gibbons, block shot by Meyers. Foul on Richard Washington. Second foul on him.
There's a case for those 2 quick forwards again in the front line. If you're going to use David Meyers on Gibbons, and here he goes up with a beautiful block, that puts Richard Washington so far away from the basket that he has to handle Kevin Grevey. Not a good situation for UCLA.
We have 6 minutes remaining. Jack Gibbons shooting 1-1. Bryan stationed high in Lexington. He was the high school player of the year in Kentucky last year. And Kentucky's made 9 out of 12 from the free throw line. UCLA just 2 out of 6. Drollinger picks off the rebound. 3 in a row for him under the board. And Carter brings it down. 5:45 to go in the first half. Trgovich, long shot. He's got it. He looks awkward shooting, but he gets him in there. 32-31. Kentucky. Long shot by Larry Johnson. Mike Phillips rebounding. His shot. Slapped out. A timeout. 4:36 to go in the first half. Kentucky 34, UCLA 33. This place is a packed and jammed tonight. Next year's NCAA tournament will be played in the Spectrum in Philadelphia. I made a mistake last Saturday. I want to apologize to you fans. I said it would be at the Palestra. It's at the Spectrum. I don't want you to show up at the wrong place a year from now. Tickets will go on sale the 1st of April. NCAA tournaments, one of the sports great spectacles, are usually sold out months in advance. It'll be in Atlanta the year after that. There goes Mike Phillips with his shot. Richard Washington has the rebound. And UCLA comes down. They're trailing by 1 point. Kentucky has 29 rebounds. UCLA has 22. Ball slapped away. There goes Trgovich's shot. Goes in for him. UCLA leads 35-34.
It's amazing how Pete Trgovich wills the ball into the basket. He's a super competitor, as all these fellas are out here in the court tonight.
Trgovich has 12 points.
Kentucky wants to get that ball to Grevey. He hadn't touched it for a while, and you can see the last 2 times down the floor, they want to work against Richard Washington for Kevin Grevey.
Phillips. Traveling call on Mike Phillips. 3:40 to go in the first half. UCLA had the lead by 1 point. Kentucky's led most of the time. Washington out of the corner. He hits it.
Excellent place to attack the 1-3-1 zone. A big man from the corners, and when you can shoot like Washington, you get some good ones off from there.
He'll make the all-tournament team. He already has 14 points for a sophomore. 26 on Saturday. Grevey under pressure. Won't go for him. Johnson hit the floor. Washington picked up the loose ball. UCLA storming back. And a no basket. We had a whistle on Trgovich's drive.
One of the things that can happen to you out
Larry
there.
Johnson foul, Billy.
Right, Larry Johnson from behind. One of the things can happen to a ball club, Kurt, when you feel you have a mismatch, and what Kentucky feels that Grevey can work on Washington. But when you concentrate on one player, the other fellas have a tendency to stand around and don't get in their normal movement. We'll probably see Joe Hall say, hey, fellas, let's get back in the game now and just play.
Mike Flynn has replaced Jimmy Dan Connor in the backcourt for Kentucky. Pete Trgovich. Kentucky's hit only UCLA's hit only 2 out of 7 free throws. Kentucky's out-rebounded UCLA. That's rare, but they figured tonight. There goes Grevey. Drollinger getting some big rebounds now for UCLA. Trgovich looking inside. Grevey, or Phillips, stole the ball from him. Mike Flynn to Grevey. Drollinger again on the rebound. Ralph Drollinger having some big rebounds.
UCLA doing a very smart thing here. They're slowing down the tempo of the game in the backcourt by using Andre McCarter to bring it up a little slower. Give themselves a little rest.
Foul underneath. Maybe on Grevey or Phillips. Phillips, 55. They were both in there. And here comes Jimmy Dan Connors checking, replacing Larry Johnson as the team captain.
Having watched Coach Wooden over the years, one of the great things about his coaching is the subtle way that he changes the pace of a ball game. He was running the ball up the court all the time early in the game. Now they're slowing it down, bringing it up with a little bit more patience. He has the ability to wave the magic wand and get these guys under control.
2 out of 8 free throws for UCLA. That could get you beat. McCarter up with the ball. With a man wide open, and he didn't see Trgovich. Trgovich shoots and hits it. 39-34. Andre McCarter has made some outstanding steals tonight. 14 points for Pete Trgovich, who averaged only 10 points a game all year. Goose Givens shooting over a screen. He's got it. 39-36, and the freshman has 8 points already.
Good play by Kentucky that time, taking away their one-on-one moves and getting back into the pattern. The game kind of got away from them offensively.
Wide open is Drollinger. Andre McCarter lobbed the pass into him. 41-37. There's Phillips. He ran with the ball. He just took two running steps before he took his shot.
UCLA's tempo to the game right now is just beautiful to watch as they're coming down the floor and setting up every time.
Dave Meyers, Trgovich.
You can see Andre is pulling the ball out. Now they're trying to go back against the man-to-man. They see that there's a change in the defense, setting up.
Here's the backdoor play to McCarter. Way off. He's not a very good outside shooter, but he's already had 10 assists in this game. He may threaten a record tonight. Connor short. Drollinger rebounding. He's a force under those boards now. McCarter said, let's set it up. Inside to Washington, slapped away, UCLA ball. Here's the third big center for Kentucky. And he is also a freshman, Danny Hall. He is 6'10". They have 3 freshmen, 6'10" or better on the Kentucky squad.
Now watch Ralph Drollinger come down the court that time. He's absolutely exhausted out there right now.
Jimmy Dan Connor makes it 41-38, UCLA.
UCLA might be able to have a timeout right here to slow things down even more. They're very tired at this point, Kurt. Only 23 seconds to go in the half.
McCarter feeding Meyers. Foul on Mike Flynn. 18 seconds remaining. Andre McCarter. You know the odd thing to me, Billy, about McCarter, he's the best free throw shooter on our team. He's at 76%, yet he hits only 36% from the field.
I think one of the reasons for that, Kurt, is the fact that he doesn't look for his shot. He gets the ball to the other players. The shots that he takes usually are secondary in his mind. And when you do that, sometimes you're maybe not taking the best shot selection and maybe not getting the best shot for yourself.
He's from Overbrook High, Philadelphia, where Wilt Chamberlain and Walt Hazzard went to high school. 43-38 UCLA. We're in the last 14 seconds of the half. Gibbons underneath. Good pass to Jimmy Dan Connors. Jack Gibbons plays like a senior. 4 seconds. 3. McCarter shot. Oh, look at that. There's the gun ending the half. An excellent first half between two of college basketball's illustrious teams over the years. The halftime score right in front of you. Kurt Gowdy and Billy Packer saying at the end of the first half, UCLA leads Kentucky by a score of 43-40. We'll return to NBC's grandstand following this message. Kurt Gowdy and Billy Packer at courtside again. The statistics are interesting. Kentucky out-rebounded UCLA 33-27. One thing in Kentucky's favor might be the field goal percent. I don't believe Kentucky will shoot 33% the entire game. Their seasonal average is 50%. I'm sure they'll shoot better in the second half. UCLA is shooting 47%. Turnovers are about the same. Kentucky had 3 more fouls than UCLA.
Give UCLA a lot of credit, Kurt, for their defensive play in that first half. I think they had a lot to do with Kentucky only shooting 33%, but I agree with you. Kevin Grevey there with 18 points wasn't held back, but the other club certainly was. And as Jerry mentioned at halftime, I think the fatigue factor is going to be the key for UCLA. Can they withstand this kind of pressure for another 20 minutes?
18 points for Kevin Grevey. 8 points for the freshman Goose Gibbons. UCLA, Rich Washington, Trgovich at 14. And Marcus Johnson has been held scoreless in his first half. A week ago Saturday, he scored 35 points against Arizona State. John Wooden is sending a team out for the last time for the second half.
Center for UCLA, 35.
And we have the same UCLA. Drollinger staying in there in place of Marcus Johnson.
I think what Coach Wooden feels there is as long as he can stay in the lead with Marcus on the bench, he'll save him for the end of the ball game, or as long as he can go and keep this lineup, it'll be to his advantage.
Kevin Grevey did a cakewalk down press row to save that one. Kentucky, if you just joined us, is in the white. UCLA in the blue or dark. They're weaving. Connors outside. There's the shot to make it 43-42.
The weave will be effective against UCLA because there are a lot of screens involved in that weave. Beautiful feed again.
Drollinger underneath gets the basket. 45-42. One wouldn't go for him. Well, he made sure that he nailed the second one. 45-42 UCLA. Connors feeding beautifully. Rick Grovey and again, no basket.
The old pick and roll play, something that started when the Peach basket went up. Kentucky used it as they have for many years. Rick Grovey just couldn't find the handle.
45-42 UCLA. Connors is on Trgovich. Washington at the head of the key with Guyette on. Washington makes it 47-42. That's 16 points for Rich Washington. Grovey lost the ball momentarily. Now gets it up, and Guyette powers his way in with it. 47-44 UCLA. Guyette just picked up his 4th point. Guyette's covering Washington. That pass is deflected away, and Kentucky has the ball.
Rick Roby went for a
Flynn
first down.
Connors, Grevey's drive. He was intimidated that time by Rich Washington. McCarter, he's had 10 assists in the first half, beating Meyers. Long jumper, he hits it. 49-44, 11 assists for Andre McCarter.
Dave Meyers, a competitor. Roby just drove him out of the gym a second ago, and Dave came back with a big shot.
Jimmy Dan Connors back to make it 49-46. We have just started the second half. 9 points for Jimmy Dan Connors. Mike Flynn sticking to McCarter. Double team. It's out to Trgovich. Trgovich shot no good. Up there, Drollinger. He's fouled in the basket count. Drollinger playing his game of the season.
He is, and Ralph Drollinger was very tired at the end of the first half, and you can see what a rest has done to the young man. This is the second big play he's made in this half. Brilliant effort by Ralph Drollinger.
In the beginning for Kentucky, number 55, Mike Phillips. For 53, Rick Roby. Basket good at the line.
Foul was on Roby. That's 4 on him. Phillips is in. 51-46. This is the biggest UCLA lead of the game. Kentucky had a 6-point lead in the first half.
Look for Kentucky to go to Grevey right now to try to get him back quickly, but he's being handled this half by David Meyers, one of the best defensive players in the country.
There's a blocking on Ralph Drollinger.
His third personal.
That's his third. That's the first team foul on UCLA this half. Each has 1 now.
I believe Coach Wooden didn't put Meyers on Grevey in the first half because he didn't want any foul trouble, and he wanted to keep David rested as long as possible.
That foul's against UCLA. Guyette forced the foul.
Number 31,
Richard Washington.
his third.
That's 3 on him. And that's a man they can't afford to get into foul trouble.
No, they can't. UCLA had all their starters, with the exception of Andre McCarter, in a little bit of foul difficulty in the first half. And here's another one of those Kentucky strongmen, Bob Guyette. To show you, we talked about those freshman centers. Last year, Bob Guyette was the center at the University of Kentucky, a small center. This year, he can be a big, big forward. That's why their club is so tough to handle inside.
52-48 in favor of UCLA. Kentucky's going to put the all-court press on. Stolen by Grevey, 4-on-1 to Guyette. 52-50. Strategy worked for Kentucky. McCarter, now it's in the corner to Trgovich.
Andre doing a smart thing right here, bringing the ball back out, getting back into their offense.
Trgovich's shot goes up with a follow. UCLA's ball off the hands of Mike Phillips.
See Pete going up for the shot. He's a real big leaper and plays a lot taller than his size. He's going to get hit a little bit here by Mike Phillips, who's a lot stronger.
That foul's on Mike Flynn. Thousands of Kentucky fans there, led by their governor, Julian Carroll, a big Kentucky basketball fan. Louisville, by the way, won the consolation game today in overtime, beating Syracuse 96-88. 2 team fouls on Kentucky. Drollinger missed the tip. He's up again, and he's got it. Drollinger makes it 54-50. He scores 10 points.
These players are starting to build up a little antagonism for each other now, not just competitiveness, but they're starting to shove and push pretty well out there.
Long shot by Grevey. Dave Meyers rebounds it. 2-on-1. Kentucky, though, getting back very quickly to stop the break. The Carter shot. What a hard shot. driving bank to make it 56-50. UCLA. 16-15 to go in this game. The national championship. Guyette. He wants that shot somehow, and he's got it. A power spin by Bob Guyette. He nearly became a Rhodes Scholar. 10 points for Bob Guyette.
See UCLA slowing down the action considerably here, and it really would be to their advantage to get this tempo down a little bit.
Up on the board is Mike Flynn. Flynn to Jimmy Dan Connor. Jumper. Short. Back out again to Jimmy Dan Connor. Flynn on a change of pace drive. Here comes UCLA back on a 3-on-2. Trigger man, Trgovich up. Won't go, and there's Grevey by himself to clear the board. Back comes Kentucky. These two teams are going to play themselves into exhaustion.
And it's
Grevey again.
It's all to Kentucky's advantage right now because UCLA is a very tired team. You can see 4 of their players walking down the court. They need a timeout.
And they want one. Trgovich was just puffing. Timeout with the score. 15-11 remaining in the national championship game. UCLA 56, Kentucky 52.
All right.
First of our Saturday games, Oakland at Texas. The first of our 15 Monday night games. Monday night, April 14th in Los Angeles when the Reds invade against the Dodgers. Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, and myself welcome you to Major League Baseball on NBC Sports.
Kentucky back to their 1-3-1 zone after that timeout.
There's a steal by Guyette.
Good move by Joe Hall, switching defenses during the timeout.
Turnaround shot by Mike Phillips. Jack Gibbons, by the way, has replaced Grevey. 56-54, UCLA.
This may also help UCLA some, Kurt, in the fact that the pace can be slowed down a little bit when a team's playing a zone against you.
The follow shot by Richard Washington. And Joe Hall's mad at his players for letting Washington slip in there, and they weren't blocking out.
Anytime you're playing a zone, one of your big problems is the blockout situation, especially in the 1-3-1.
Connors to Flynn. Flynn, 58-56.
John Wooden motioning to his players to not get caught on those screens on the inside, but right now he's got a tired ball club out there.
Richard Washington again hits from outside. 20 points for the sophomore, Richard Washington from Portland, Oregon. There's Jimmy Dan Connors firing. Follows. Won't go for him. Connors again, his third shot in a row. And a foul called on Jack Gibbons for holding. Here is Larry Johnson coming in. Johnny Wood yells something out. He'll be 65 years old in a few months. He calls it quits tonight.
You notice with the lead, Coach Wooden still hasn't come back with Marcus Johnson. Once again, I think he'll probably keep Marcus down there until he sees that lead challenge.
That's out of bounds off Kentucky. You know, I've learned a long time ago, never say never in sports, but I don't think anybody will ever achieve the feats Johnny Wooden has. 88 wins in a row, 7 national titles in a row. Almost unbelievable record. There's a shot by Dave Meyers. 62-56, UCLA.
For years, these UCLA players seem to come up with what's necessary at the time. Here we see Washington and Meyers hitting from the outside just when they need it.
Jack Gibbons. A foul on Kentucky. Mike Phillips.
Number 55, Mike Phillips.
That's 3 on him. On the bench is the other big center, Rick Roby, with 4. And that is the Kentucky calling time now with 13:10 to play. In the national championship game from San Diego, UCLA 62, Kentucky 56. He was beaten out as starting center by the sophomore Richard Knight. Drollinger has picked off 12 rebounds and is going against one of the strongest physical teams underneath in America. There he is. And he has scored 10 points.
Kentucky going back to man-to-man. They want to move that tempo on. UCLA hit those outside shots and drove Kentucky right out of the 1-3-1.
Meyers with Givens on him. Meyers jumper. Top Guyette. Now they start the fast break. Larry Johnson looking down court. He's quick. Follow shot by Flynn. Guyette up underneath. Trgovich has it. Richard Washington. He didn't travel. There's Meyers. That flat shot ahead. 64-56 UCLA.
Both coaches really taking some gambles now with key players. Joe Hall has 3 starters on the bench. John Wooden, of course, is going to keep Marcus Johnson over there until he needs him.
Dave Meyers stayed right with Flynn driving baseline, and Flynn stepped out of bounds. Watch the defensive work by big Dave Meyers on this.
Super defensive play by Dave Meyers. He is, as we've pointed out, one of the top defensive players in the country. He did that against the guard.
Jimmy Dan Carter's back in for the Wildcats. Carter shot. The rebound by Washington. His shot. It's good. 66-56 UCLA. This is the biggest lead of the game.
It's amazing how they can take control of a ball game and do the right things at the right time.
Back door is Connors. Flynn. And a foul. Call on Ralph Drollinger.
Kurt, right now, Kentucky does not have a good shooting team into the ball game. Kevin Grevey's been sitting down for quite some time. Joe Hall's talking to him right now. We see the play there. But right now, Kentucky has a club in the game that offensively is not as strong as that starting lineup.
Look at that hand. Standing ovation for Drollinger.
Frank Arnold, I think, just told him the same thing you mentioned, Kurt. Ralph, you're playing the game of your life tonight because he has done a terrific job for UCLA.
Mike Flynn puts it in. We have watched Kentucky before, and I tell you, we saw them against Marquette, and they can explode on you. They can rip off 10 or 15 points in 3 or 4 minutes, and UCLA knows this. Larry Johnson's in, and Flynn is out. The score is 66-58 UCLA. We have 11:30 to go. There's Washington. Beautiful block by Mike Phillips of Kentucky. Larry Johnson down court. Guyette hooks. Underneath it goes to Trgovich. 4-on-3. Trgovich to Washington. Off balance. Marcus Johnson trying to get the ball. Oh, I tell you, this action is something. UCLA ball. As out of bounds was Jack Givens on that far sideline.
Excellent positioning that time by Henry Nichols, the official. And I'd have to say the fellows in the black and white shirts are doing a great job in very trying circumstances.
They have 10:55 remaining. Washington spinning off. He's got it. But it is a foul on Richard Washington. That's 4 on him. And there's a crucial...
You'll see Richard using the elbow to get the turn there at the top of the key, and the foul was called prior to the basket, of course, and no basket will count, and now UCLA is getting into some foul trouble.
And Kevin Grevey comes back in. Bob Guyette goes out. And John Wooden is really unhappy on that bench.
He has to protect some players right now because he doesn't have the versatility on that bench that Kentucky has. Here's the scorer back in the game. He sat down for quite some time.
He hits the basket and he's fouled. He comes in and gets a clutch one right away.
Here you'll see a great solid screen by Mike Phillips, and Dave Meyers almost gets a piece of that ball early, but he fouls, and look at the concentration by Kevin Grevey on the jumper.
3 fouls on Meyers, and now the fouls can be critical against UCLA. Grevey is 20 points, 21 for him. And that's 5 points in a row for Kentucky. They're right back in. They have made 15 out of 19 free throws. 66-61, UCLA. Washington on the high post. He has to play cautiously now. He has 4 fouls. Trgovich feeding Marcus Johnson, who has not scored. Washington driving. And foul holding.
Foul's going to be on Mike Phillips. He reached out there, and a beautiful change off the pass by Richard Washington.
Foul is on number 55, Mike Phillips. His fourth first.
We'll see Grevey down there on David Meyers away from the ball. He's helping out all that he can. But, of course, the foul had already been committed in that particular situation.
Mike Phillips has 4 fouls. Rick Roby has 4. So the third-string center comes in, Dan Hall. We have 10:19 to play. UCLA's ball.
Trying to post David Meyers inside on Kevin Grevey. Has quite a height advantage.
There's Meyers. Way off. Kentucky's ball. Kentucky coming back now.
Here you find a fresh ball player like Kevin Grevey coming off the floor. David Meyers worked hard all night. We'll see if Kentucky tries to go to Kevin. There
10
it is.
minutes to play as Grevey fires. Richard Washington rebounds. Trgovich brings it down. Kentucky's had more depth. They've used more players. Trgovich's shot way off the mark. There's Gibbons picking up the loose ball down to Larry Johnson. Gibbons on a drive. He's taken away from him by Andre McCarter. Foul called on Gibbons in the backcourt.
We'll see this. Jack Gibbons thought he had the play. David Meyers comes over and helps out beautifully right here as he gets a piece of the ball. Also, Marcus Johnson there. Meyers goes up, gets it, pushed off by Jack Gibbons. Meyers will be going to the line.
Now UCLA is in the bonus situations. The Bruins have made only 6 out of 12 free throws. The Wildcats of Kentucky 15 out of 19. One man winding up 27 years at UCLA. The other coach, Joe Hall, just in his 3rd year. And for the outstanding job he's done this year, Joe Hall has just been given a new 4-year contract. 15 points for Don Meyers, 16 points for him. 68-61 UCLA. 9:20 to go. This is Hall. They'll try and get Washington to foul out if they can. Meyers had it underneath, and it goes into the hands of Trgovich. Trgovich has a 3-on-1 situation. Stolen by Jack Gibbons. Lost the ball right in his hands and lost it out of bounds.
There we had 2 fellas hustling so hard. We'll see Pete Trgovich taking this ball in there. Good pass, but Jack Gibbons following down the court well, and it gets pushed out of bounds actually by his own man, Jimmy Dan Connor.
And John Wooden asks his team for a timeout. Timeout. Score. UCLA 68. Kentucky 61.
BN Classic.
Dave Meyers will inbound it for UCLA. Mike Flynn has replaced Jimmy Dan Connor for Kentucky. UCLA holding a 7-point lead. 9 minutes to go for the national championship. Will John Wooden win it in his last game, or will Hall get it for Kentucky? The shot.
David Meyers.
Meyers has 18. 70-61 UCLA. Grevey will be driving for his shot. He's up, he has it, and he's fouled by Andre McCarter.
There was an excellent offensive play by the University of Kentucky, setting a low screen. They help a great deal for Kevin Grevey, and when he can get open here, especially on a smaller man, I think that was a good observation at halftime by Jerry Lucas, is that Richard Washington forced Grevey to shoot the ball a little higher. You can see what he does against a smaller man.
He's the high point of the game, Billy.
And he has been on the bench quite some time in the second half.
That's his seasonal average, 24 a game. Now Kentucky goes back to the press. Down to Trgovich, who bangs it to Marcus Johnson. It's good. That's goaltending. It's good. It was in there, and he banged it out again.
There's the game, a matter of inches. Pete Trgovich hustling all the way. Danny Hall made the decision to go try to make the block and didn't get there in time. 72-64 UCLA. Very smart play by Trgovich. Quick thinking.
when he tipped the ball. Marcus Johnson got his first basket. Mike Flynn, the basket counts. A driving layup. There's Governor Carroll at Kentucky.
That's John Wyatt Brown, a Kentucky Fried Chicken man beside him, Kurt. He's a big Kentucky fan also, with his wife in the pro game.
Mike Flynn. The score is 72-66. UCLA. Flynn going for his 10th point. He has it. Now it's 72-67. And Kentucky stayed in this game with free throws. They've hit 17 of 21. Marcus Johnson change of paces and hits the layup. 74-67.
There's why John Wooden wanted to have him rested. Marcus could be the key going down the wire right here because he's been able to sit down and rest some.
There's goaltending on Marcus Johnson. Marcus Johnson up above the rim.
I think Marcus is fired up after that last score, and probably not a wise move to try to make this block here. He's just too close to the rim. But you can see how he can get off the ground.
You don't think he's going to be something? 6'6", and he was above the rim. The score, 74-69, UCLA. Guyette's in for Hall. That fouls on Mike Flynn. John Wooden, 40 years of coaching, high school, Indiana State, UCLA. His last game, his last half, his last 7 minutes and 50 seconds. I asked him what he'd do. He's going to write. He's going to conduct coaching clinics. He'll run his basketball camp and have some time for himself, his wife, and his 7 grandchildren. Bob Guyette for the rebound.
Pete Trgovich, not a good free throw shooter for UCLA, but quite a competitor and doing a great defensive job at.
Grevey shot. Boy, this Grevey's something. Now it's 74-71, UCLA. Suddenly Kentucky comes back. Look out there. It's a dangerous pass out of that corner. McCarter throws it away. Kentucky falls.
Kevin Grevey really did a smart thing right there. He saw that there was no way David Meyers could get to the ball, so he just let him throw the ball out of bounds.
There's the foul situation. 4 fouls on Washington, Drollinger, 4 on Flynn, Phillips, and Rover. 74-71 UCLA. 7:15 to play. Bob Guyette scoring off Richard Washington, who had to let it go or foul out. 74-73. We told you this Kentucky team could explode and get you 10 points in a hurry.
Marcus Johnson's going to have to take his man a little one-on-one at this point.
That foul is on Kevin Grevey.
Number 35, Kevin Grevey.
Second foul on him. Dave Meyers for a one-on-one.
Number 34, Dave Meyers.
Joe Hall with a shot at his first national crown. When they said, well, UCLA will be emotionally charged because of Johnny Wood's last game, he said, well, I've got 5 seniors who are playing their last game. Meyers makes it 75-73 UCLA.
So far, Kentucky has played 10 players tonight, and you hardly can tell the difference when one or the other happens to be in the ball game. Very deep, very strong ball club. UCLA fighting off the challenge beautifully so far.
20 points for Dave Meyers. Grevey way out. He hits it. 76-75. Grevey is 28 points. His career high, 40.
Jimmy Lee down there on Marcus Johnson. Jimmy, a very strong player also, probably put into the game right at this point to try to hold down Marcus, who they figure is going to get the ball some.
Meyers outside. Fouls on Dave Meyers. Dave Meyers foul. Technical on him. Johnny Wood comes down the sideline.
The key on this particular call here is Kevin Grevey had position. David Meyers was on his way up and in. You'll see David Meyers go right over Kevin Grevey. I think it was an excellent call, and it's a shame that David Meyers slammed his fist down on the floor because he's probably as mad as himself as opposed to what he was for the official. He's an extremely great competitor.
Oh, he's usually calm. He's fired up.
They say
technical.
We'll have the technical right now. This little break in the action is going to help UCLA some, and also mentally it should do a lot.
He missed the both. Kevin Grevey, one of the great shooters of America, missed both free throws. But Kentucky gets the ball out of bounds after the technical. With the score, UCLA 76, Kentucky 75. 6:23 to play. And just 3 or 4 minutes ago, UCLA had a 10-point lead. We have a new player in the game.
Grevey's going inside, and Meyers trying to come up with a
Marcus Johnson blocked that shot. Into the game for Kentucky is James Lee, 32.
Watch Grevey try to work on Meyers now, because Kentucky would love to have him out of the ball game, no question about it.
Meyers has 4 fouls on him. Washington has 4 fouls. Foul underneath. That's on James Lee, who just came into the game.
Lee was trying to get position down in the low post himself.
There's a player control foul, so there'll be no shot. McCarter, 6 minutes to go. 1-point lead, UCLA. Washington up. Rebounded. Meyers, foul by Larry Johnson.
Normally, Kentucky does not allow the ball to go into the high post man the way UCLA is getting it in there tonight. I think you have to credit Richard Washington with that, and also the UCLA passers, because they've been able to initiate their offense from guard to high post better than any team that's played Kentucky this year.
I think Meyers has hit his last 4 free throws. He has 20 points, playing his last game. He's made 4 out of 5 free throws tonight. He's been one of the best competitive players UCLA ever had. He plays a lot like Sidney Wicks. Then with UCLA, 77-75. Here's Rick Roby back in for Kentucky. Incidentally, before Grevey missed those last 2 free throws, he had made 6 out of 6. 77-75 UCLA. 5:49 to go.
Kentucky back within 1 man of having their starting lineup into the game. UCLA, of course, with their starting lineup, they've only had 1 substitute all night. And he's been a great factor in this game and has been sitting for quite some time.
78-75 UCLA. Meyers, 22 points. Connors to Johnson. A foul inside. Somebody pushed off in there.
Kevin Grevey pushed off. And fine call by Bob Orton.
That's 3 on him. And we'll have a 1-on-1 again. Andre McCarter goes to the line.
Here's the fella, Kurt, that you pointed out is not a good field goal percentage shooter, but has been their best from the free throw line this year. And I'd like to reiterate again, when you're looking for your teammate first and shot second, sometimes you don't hit as well as you normally would.
UCLA has shot much better free throwing in the second half. Don't go for McCarter that time, though. All right, here's Jimmy Dan Connor for Kentucky. Grevey shooting over McCarter. Marcus Johnson, big rebound there. They got rid of it to Richard Washington. A steal by Guyette, and Kentucky comes back. There's Guyette's shot. 78-77. Favor of UCLA. 14 points for Bob Guyette, who's been excellent here in the second half.
Andre McCarter has to slow things down and get back into the offense a little bit. The fast pace is definitely in Kentucky's advantage.
Richard Washington tips it in. Marcus Johnson with a reverse twist. 24 points for Rich Washington. 80-77 UCLA. Grevey out. Richard Washington comes up with the ball. Beats it to Marcus Johnson. Johnson driving layup. Trgovich is fouled by Rick Roby, and that'll be all for Roby. He's out of the ball game.
Richard Washington had a super rebound down here and led that fast break all the way down the floor, making an excellent pass. That's going to be all for Roby, and Kentucky's going to want a timeout.
The score, UCLA 80, Kentucky 70. And Mr. Roby has seen 26 of Kentucky's games this year. They won them all. He missed 4. They lost the 4 that he missed.
You know, for a fella from New Orleans, those are some long trips.
80-77, UCLA in the lead. 4:35 to play for the national title. We told you the entire UCLA coaching staff will be gone. John Wooden retired. His assistant, Gary Cunningham, wants to get into administration, athletic administration work. 81-77 UCLA. Frank Arnold, the other assistant, has just been named the head coach of BYU.
Kurt, one of the reasons I think Coach Wooden has a love for this ball club out here is the competitiveness on that team. There's Pete Trgovich, not a good free throw shooter, but when they need him, he comes through, and they're all like that.
82-77, UCLA. Guyette. Marcus Johnson, way up above the rim.
And there's arrested Marcus Johnson, and that's the factor. A subtle move by John Wooden, keeping him on the bench, and now he's ready to go full blast.
Washington's in foul trouble, so is Dave Meyers. Roby's already fouled out.
UCLA using a little bit of the clock right here, and certainly to their advantage.
There's Marcus Johnson. He's fouled by Kevin Grevey.
What makes it so difficult to handle arrested Marcus Johnson in that particular play is you're trying to prevent him from getting the ball from the guard, but then he breaks back door on you and has that tremendous leaping ability. Johnny
Wooden just yelled out to Andre McCarter, lob the ball on in that play. Don't throw a low pass, it's going to get intercepted. Marcus Johnson missed the free throw. Here is Jimmy Dan Connor trying to work at McCarter. Mike Flynn as they switch now. Trgovich takes Connor. And McCarter's on Flynn. Guyette. The basket counts. Washington backed up, had to let him take it. 82-79. Kentucky strategy. Get the ball to Guyette with Washington covering, hoping to foul Washington out. One more foul and he's out. Guyette's a Vulcan there trying to cover him. There goes Marcus Johnson to make it 84-79. Marcus Johnson set out most of this half. 84-79 UCLA. 3:13 to go. Grevey way out. 84-81. Kevin Grevey has 30 points. He's the high of the game.
Every time down the floor, very key right now, Kurt. You have to get good shot selection. That's the key for either one of these ball clubs. Don't take a bad shot.
Look out. That's a dangerous pass. Here is Trgovich's shot. Guyette playing a great game in the second half. Cleared the board for Kentucky. Flynn brings it across. Jack Gibbons. 2 minutes, 28 seconds remain in the NCAA championship. The score, UCLA 84, Kentucky 81. Kevin Grevey with 30 points is high for UCLA. Rich Washington with 24 and Dave Meyers with 22. Rich Roby has already fouled out. Grevey has 4 fouls. Mike Flynn has 4 fouls. Mike Phillips has 4 fouls. Dave Meyers has 4 fouls for UCLA, and Rick Washington has 4 fouls. Ralph Drollinger's on the bench, and he has 4 fouls.
I would have to say the man that would be the key there in foul situation, and normally it doesn't hurt Kentucky, but right now with Kevin Grevey having a terrific night, and also their key man to get off the big shot, having 4 fouls and trying to handle Marcus Johnson, who right now is fresh and going to the hoop, could be a real problem for Kentucky. Look for UCLA to try to work on Kevin Grevey and draw that 5th foul. They're going to spread it out, Kurt, going into a little bit of a stall game themselves.
Myers driving. Guyette tried to stop him. Myers in 86-81. He has such a great stretch that he took off 10 feet from the basket and laid that over the front rim. 24 points for Dave Meyers.
Definitely caught Kentucky by surprise with that particular move.
Guyette with Marcus Johnson. They switch now. Johnson covering Guyette. Grevey's shot blocked. Trgovich fouls him. Kevin Grevey to the line. 1:54 remaining. Remember, last Saturday, UCLA was behind Louisville 6 points with 1:30 to go. They were behind 4 points with under a minute to play and pulled it out. So Kentucky, especially with Grevey at the line now, is certainly in no impossible situation. Grevey makes it 86-82, and he has scored 31 points.
A real credit to the physical stamina of the UCLA club to withstand this terrific pressure from Kentucky tonight. Just player after player coming in there, and they've held it very well.
86-83, they're going to put the zone trap on. The passes to Trgovich.
They're going to use the clock here, Kurt. Smart move by UCLA.
Minute 45. There goes Trgovich down the middle. He'll bring it out. It's the four-corner stall. Man in the middle. He'll penetrate and bring it back out again.
Kentucky has pretty good matchups in this situation. They'll just have to play each man honestly.
There goes Trgovich. Trgovich has the ball stolen, but Washington retrieves it, shoots, and hits it. 88-83, UCLA. 1:20 to go. Washington again hitting a biggie for UCLA as he did Saturday. Grevey, he hits that. Kevin Grevey has been sensational. 88-85, UCLA. 34 points. Kevin Grevey's last game, maybe his greatest. 1 minute to go. A 3-point lead for UCLA. Will they win on John Wooden's last game, another national title, or can Kentucky pull it out? 50 seconds to play. Trgovich bouncing out to Andre McCarter. Johnny Wooden quietly sitting over there. 2 years ago, a heart attack. There goes McCarter for the layup, and it's good. 90-85, UCLA. 33 seconds to go. Jack Gibbons' shot, way short. Ball's out of bounds. Dave Meyers had it and lost it.
He wanted to crush the air out of the ball on that particular rebound. Kentucky needs another timeout.
Kentucky calls time.
Sports.
90-85, UCLA. Richard Washington has 26 points. That's the high of his career. Dave Meyers is 24. Grevey has 34. Did not have a good game Saturday. If UCLA wins this game, Rich Washington might be named the most valuable player of the tournament as a sophomore. But it's not over yet. 26 seconds to go, and it's Kentucky's ball. Mike Flynn into Jimmy Dan Connors off the lip of the rim. The rebound by Dave Meyers. Meyers with 2 men on him, dribbling around to Rich Washington. They whip it down to Andre McCarter. Here's a foul on Kentucky with 14 seconds. And it looks like John Wooden is going out a winner.
He is signaling for his 2-shot free throw. He felt that it was an intentional foul. Here's a man with the opportunity to win his 10th national championship, Kurt, but he is so much in this game, he's just concentrating completely. Of course, it is going to be a 1-and-1 and not 2, but he's always working.
After the game for the award presentation.
Say one thing, if he wins it, this may be his greatest coaching job this year.
No question about it.
I want to say something to the young people of America. John Wooden didn't become a national winner until he was 53 years old. He didn't win in his first 16 years at UCLA a national title. He won in his late 50s and 60s. UCLA has won the national title. They're ahead 92-85. Up on the rebound, Marcus Johnson getting across. 3, 2, 1. Ball over. UCLA. What a dramatic story.
There's a man, a legend before his time right there.
Well, they beat a great club. Kentucky, a tremendous team. Joe Hall's going to start his own dynasty there But I'll tell you something. I don't believe I've ever seen a team play their hearts out the way UCLA did.
Well, they certainly, Kurt did a job way beyond the call of duty with all of those players being rushed at them. It looked like they were on the verge of exhaustion at halftime, but they came back to play a superb second half. Here comes one of the great men in the history of sport right here.
That's Jim Simpson of NBC. Johnny Wooden has just coached the last game of a 40-year career and has won his 10th national championship in the last 12 years with a team that wasn't expected to do it.
As they say, what a way to end a fabulous career.
Well, Jim, I'm extremely happy. I've had such a wonderful year with working with these youngsters. It's just I've never had a finer group. We haven't had a single problem off the court or on the court all year, and I'm happy that they could go out this way too.
Well, it was so typical when I came to get Coach John Wooden to bring him over. He said, first of all, I'm going to see my family.
Well, they've been with me all the way, and that should always be first. I've always put my family ahead of my profession, and I don't believe I can be blamed for that.
Coach, let us talk about tonight's game. That's a very physical team that Kentucky had. You knew it going in. You're down in the first half. You came back to have the lead at the second half. And even though you were going with just about 6 men, your boys hung in there and won it going away.
We're in good condition, and I feel and try to, one of my theories is to get our players to believe they're in better condition than any team against whom we will participate. And whether they are or not, if they'll believe that, it can help them a lot. And it's always been my philosophy to go with 6 or 7 men until games are won or lost.
Well, Coach Wooden, I've been here many times, and I remember one time several years ago I said, well, John Wooden, what's new? You have just won your 10th national championship in the last 12 years, and it is, of course, your final night.
Yes, it is, and I want to thank all those that have watched the game on television because you're basketball fans, and it was a tremendous ball game both ways, and I'm just happy it's over.
Coach John Wooden, congratulations from all of America in basketball for your wonderful, wonderful career, and stay with the game.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, John Wooden. All right, let's go back to Kurt and Billy Packer.
All right, and UCLA has won it. John Wooden wraps it up. I don't believe I've ever seen 2 better college games than Louisville, UCLA on Saturday, and UCLA and Kentucky here tonight.
2 tremendous college basketball games back-to-back. I know Kentucky probably has to feel like it's a very sad time, but for all of sport, I think it's one of the great moments in collegiate athletic history to have John Wooden go out the way he did.
You know, Billy, I played in the NCAA tournament in '42. I've seen him go. The way the players are improving each year, it's amazing. That's it. UCLA wins the national title as Johnny Wooden bows out with a fitting gift. They beat a fine ball club. The final score again, UCLA 92, Kentucky 85. Kurt Gowdy for Billy Packer, Jim Simpson, and Jerry Lucas saying goodbye from San Diego, California.